Kia ora koutou, bit of a slow start this morning, but I kept my cool. Stayed patient and ended the day with a clean base hit on ZKIN. There were a few tempting moves and a couple of close calls, but I stuck to my rules and here's how it played out. So I got up this morning and I saw ASST on the scanner as well as PRFX and ZKIN. Yeah, so ASST was probably a little bit more expensive for me at the moment on this stock, around $5. I think I could only afford about 30 something shares, 35 shares, something like that. So I didn't really want to trade this. It was also pulling back. It was sort of around this area here and was pulling back. It did pop here through VWAP, but didn't want to take that trade, not with a share size. So ASST was sort of off the list. Later on around, what time is that? Around just after 7, it did make a decent move with volume, push through VWAP here, good entry on the break of VWAP maybe, and then a push up to 569, 570. But I missed that completely. PRFX. Didn't really trade this at all and didn't even think about trading it. It was this. Sort of through this area here where I saw it between 6:30. So lighter volume, only had 1 million shares traded on it around this time, I think, and it wasn't looking too healthy. Pulled back here around 7 o'clock, and you know, it was just going sideways through this region. So below VWAP, wasn't interested in that either. And ZKIN, this is what I ended up taking a trade on in the end. I push that back. So around 6:30, it was going sideways. I saw it pop up here on the scanner. I saw it had broken through around 155, broken through 150. So I thought, oh, I'll have a quick look at that. And it was breaking up through VWAP. So I'll flick over to the video and I've got that queued up here. I'll just play it double speed. So this is where I first saw it. It's just come up to VWAP, just broken through VWAP. I wasn't quite ready to take the trade. Probably could have pushed buy there at 159 to get in quickly. I put an order in for 157 but didn't hit the buy button. At this stage it's at 165, so I wouldn't have got a fill anyway. I was a bit late on getting that. I should have just hit the buy at 159. What's 2 cents? Well, for my small account, it's you know, it can't be the difference between 10-cent profit or not. But looking at the trade here, it did have a micro pullback here as well to 161. That could have been an entry as well on that micro pullback. The video is going all over the place. At 161 there, so that topping tail could have bought in there and then sold when it pushed up to about 180. But I was too slow to do that, so I waited for a decent pullback. So at the moment it's sort of around 176, 174. And I see the volume's lighter after that big green candle. And then this is a decent pullback. I put the order in at 166. Probably could have put it lower, but I was happy at getting in 166. Looking at support around 160 level. Got filled there at 166. It did drop to 161, so could have got filled a bit lower, but in here, and it starts pushing pretty quickly, and 176, 10 cents, and I'm out. So I got a good fill there. I did sell on the bid, but it did actually fill me at the top at 176, so not a bad fill. It did pull back after that again, down to 170, 171 I think, and then pushed higher to 186. So it's a very quick trade. That's kind of what I want to get at the moment, is be more confident in getting in and out quickly in the trade, taking my profit off the table, not holding if it's not going my way within that first candle or first couple candles. So yeah, so it's pulled back here to 168, 169. Yeah. So I took 160 shares on that trade as well, so I made $16 on the 10 cents share, and then it pushes up to 186. So there was a possibility of holding it longer here, but I was quite happy to get out at 176. And after this, it did kind of roll over. ZKIN, I don't think really had any news on it. It was continuation from after hours yesterday. So I didn't really think it was a real strong stock. But it was in that price range where I could take a few more shares. Then anything over $5 is sort of, I have to take. I only get about 30 or 40 shares. So for me to make, you know, $10, $20 on that, it needs to go 30 to 60 cents a share. So that's, can be difficult to time those trades. So I stuck to the sort of lower price stocks where I could get a few more shares, and getting a 10 cent, possibly a 20 cent move if I'd held there for the 186. But was quite happy getting in and out quickly. So that was my trade on ZKIN. After that, it sort of rolled over, went down to $1.60, $1.50 I think, and then rallied again. I did think about taking another trade. I'll just stop that, pop back to here. So I did think about taking another trade around here, through this area here where it was holding just below VWAP. But I decided against it. You know, if, you know, it sort of had, you know, there's sort of a, yeah, possibly could have broken down or broken up there. It did break to the upside and went up to 177, so it could have been a, you know, 16, 15 cent winner there, but in the end I decided not to do it. I just thought it wasn't worth the risk. It's on the back side of the move. You know, this move here was with volume, good size volume bars coming in there, and over here the volume had definitely died off. So, you know, a bit of volume here as it broke through on this one here, but nowhere near as much as this previous break. So I sat on the fence, and, you know, this basically went sideways through pre-market, and then did a bit of a move at open, but then sort of rolled over. So that was ZKIN, $16 on that trade, so that was good. Next stock that popped up was JZ. So JZ, Chinese company. This popped from, what time was that? Just before 8 o'clock. Yeah, so JZ popped from, you know, around, what was that? 50 cents, 58 cents, up to 354. So put in a decent move here. And I saw it as it was pulling back here on this red candle. So I don't want to take a trade on it here. It sort of kept pulling back, I almost thought about taking a trade here as it pushed on this green candle back to VWAP, but I didn't jump in there early. I thought, no, let's see if it breaks VWAP first before taking any trade on it. Didn't break, it pulled back further and dropped down to a low of like $1, what's that, $1.20 or something, yeah, about $1.20. So I didn't take any trades on JZ through that area there. It did rally when it dropped to that low at 120 and pushed up through VWAP here, and there was a trade here maybe when it broke 155 to push up here to 184 as it broke through VWAP, but didn't really trust this stock and just sort of, yeah, sort of tough after that big pullback. Yeah, did grind up there though, so possibly there was a trade in there. If you're happy getting in below VWAP, then maybe you could have been in a bit lower, but wasn't interested in that. Went sideways for the rest of pre-market and rolled over after the open as well. So that was JZ. Other stocks I saw in the morning was MRIA. This thing dropped in, here it is here. Find it. Yeah, so this popped up here and I saw this as it ripped up to 179 from around 120, and it basically pulled back right down to 92 cents. So yeah, popped up and then dumped, so wasn't interested in that at all. And VEE was another one. This thing did end up, looks like it did actually end up pushing to $9.30 in open, but when it popped in pre-market, it did not look good. I mean, it did look good until it didn't. Sort of went from 260, pushed all the way up to 555 in one candle. I missed all of that, and I saw it, I think, as it was coming down, and it just dumped all the way back with interest down to $2.12. So that didn't look good at all, and then it kept just grinding lower down to $2. So I wasn't interested in that, and then at the open it still didn't look very good, and I was long gone by the time it actually did pop again. It looks like it popped, what's that, around 10 o'clock, just before 10 o'clock, broke through into a halt, it looks like up here. Might have halted a few times actually. But then it pulled away and looks like it went to 834. So that's a decent move on a very cheap stock. 930, what time is that? 117, so that put in a really massive move actually by the end of the day. But during pre-market it was terrible, so I didn't trade that. There were some other more expensive stocks that popped in the morning. QBTS, that one sort of popped up on earnings, I think, and NVAX was another one, and WGRX were ones that were more expensive, and I did see them on my scanner, but because of their price range, they were sort of trading between $7 to $9 to over $9, and that's just too expensive for me at the moment. So anything sort of over $5 or $6 is sort of out of my price range at the moment. So once I build my account up again, that should be all good, and I'll probably trade those a bit more often. They do tend to move further, so you get more cents per share out of them, but if you're only able to buy in like 30 shares, 20 shares, then you need it to go a whole dollar before you're making sort of a decent profit on them. So just not worth it for me to try and do that. It makes it harder for me to actually trade, so I'm worried about getting in and not, being on the other side of that as well. If they drop pretty quickly as well. So yeah, so stats for today, ZKIN, 160 shares bought, and we've got at $1.66, out at 176, and at $16 profit, 10 cents a share. So coming up to the calendar, so this is pretty standard for me at the moment. Last month was kind of similar, more green days than red day, much bigger loss than my green days. So still haven't learned how to stop myself from taking these big red days. I think too, that day I was kind of tired, and being tired and being hesitant in getting in good trades and missing those good trades, I then take a bad trade and kind of force myself to take that trade, and then held because I didn't want to have a loser. I'm not very good at losing, so I think that's a problem for me, is if I have a losing trade, I still hold them for way too long, and I really need to, and a few of you commented about cutting your losers early, and once you've learnt that habit to actually cut losers quickly, then you've become more profitable. And I still need to get into that habit of cutting them quickly when I am on a losing trade, and not holding and holding and holding. So I've really got to enforce that rule. If the trade's not working after 2 or 3 candles, probably 3 candles, if it's not going my way after 3 candles, and it might be only down like $5 or something like that, just take the loss. $5 loss is nothing. It's when it's $100 or over $100, that's such a massive loss to come back from, when your green days are $6 to $30. So really got to work on that, and hopefully the market stays good, and I can get some good trades within my price range. So that was it for me today, one and done. I nearly jumped back in, but I'm glad I didn't chase anything that wasn't clean. Would you have taken another shot at ZKIN, or called it there like I did? Let me know in the comments. I'll be back tomorrow. If you're building your playbook one trade at a time, hit that follow and stick around. See you then. Hei a pōpō.